You don't watch the thing because you enjoy watching it, because if that were the case, you would not feel the guilt after that. By the way, I'll be referring to it as the thing, because if I use the word, then that increases the chances of this video getting age restricted, which reduces the reach. So why is it that you watch it, and why did I say that you're doomed to fail on NNN? The answer to all these questions is your undiscovered self, or rather your many undiscovered selves. First, let me answer why you're guaranteed to fail on NNN. Because the thing is, the entire point of NNN is not doing the thing. Whereas if you really want to stop doing it, then what you should be doing instead is focusing on doing different things, like reading, pursuing any goals or anything like that. Like for example, if I tell you to not think of burgers, you immediately thought about it. Even I thought about it. Alright. So if you keep thinking about not doing it, you will eventually do it. So how do you actually stop it? The answer lies in your undiscovered self, or what I'd like to call your collection of unfulfilled desires, ambitions, goals, and a combination of all these things that form a void inside of you that you are not consciously aware of. Basically, what happens is that all the negative experiences that you have, all the traumas, all the unfulfilled goals, desires, ambitions, all these things, what happens is that they get buried deep inside of you. And it might happen that consciously you might forget them, but on a deep subconscious level, your brain still knows them and keeps a sort of database of them, if that makes sense. Alright. And what happens is that they form what Carl Jung termed the undiscovered self, or basically a collection of all your unfulfilled desires, ambitions, goals, and all your negative experiences. And whenever you do something like, let's say, drink alcohol, or you as in like generally you, not you, like someone takes drug or drinks alcohol or faps and does what's the thing and everything, then what they're essentially trying to do is trying to fill that gap, trying to satisfy that undiscovered self. Because what that self thinks is that it's that particular thing, that goal, that experience that is there, it still exists, and it tries to fill that void, tries to fill that gap. And because of that, you do those activities in order to try to fill that gap. All right. And that gaps that I mentioned, they might be created because of a girl that rejected you, because of, let's say, a girlfriend that left you, because of a negative experience that you had somewhere. Let's say someone talked to you rudely, or because you were not able to buy something, or let's say because you wished something from your parents and they were not able to give it to you. So all these sort of experiences, all these sort of things, they form different types of voids. For example, getting rejected will form a different type of void. Not being able to afford something, not getting something from your parents when you asked them for that will form a different type of void. So all the experience that you have, they form different voids or different undiscovered selves. And what happens is that whenever you do something bad, for example, alcohol or fap or whatever, you're trying to fill one of those gaps. Alright. And the thing is, the only way to stop doing the thing is to identify the void behind that thing and then trace it. And then tell yourself that the void does not exist, and I'll be showing you how to do that. So as I said, different activities cater to different voids. For this video, we'll be taking the example of watching the thing and fapping. So the way you figure out the void behind the activity is very simple. And why I say activity is because you can do this for any bad habit that you have, but for this video, we'll be taking the thing and fapping. So it's very simple, but it's not easy. Because why? It's simple because all you have to do is absorb your thoughts, and once you kind of like understand, you just have to write it down. And I'll be going in that in detail. But the reason it's not easy is because most of these activities, they sort of happen in kind of like autopilot, as if there's some external force or some external entity that captures your control and gets control over you and makes you do the thing. So that is what makes it a bit difficult to become aware. So that is why what I'll recommend is don't expect to trace your undiscovered self in your first attempt. It might take 2, 3, 4, 5 or 8 attempts, but keep trying. And as you try to observe your thoughts and thoughts, you'll get better at it, and after a few attempts you will be able to do it. But don't be disappointed if you're not able to do it in first try, because as I said, in most cases it happens, the activity that you did happens on autopilot, and it happens as if there's some external entity that has taken control. And in that case, it's a bit difficult initially, but if you try, it can be done in 2 to 3 attempts. So here's what you need to do. While you're doing the thing, just absorb your thoughts. What are you thinking about? Is it a person? Is it an experience? Is it a thing? Is it a cringe memory? It could be anything. And I would like to warn you, it might be a lot more disturbing than you actually think. Like, not the thing, but like actual reason behind it. And as I said, it could be anything. It could be a person, it could be a thing, it could be an experience, it could be a cringe memory, it could be anything. Don't put any assumptions, and just absorb your thoughts and see what you are thinking about. Then you need to question that. Like, not the 5 times why thing question. Like, you need to question, why did you think of that thing? Alright, how long did you think about it, or what kind of experience that you had with that thing which made you think about it. Like, question it until you get to the root of it. And there's no simple sort of format as to that I say that just ask why 5 times and you'll get to the root. It's not like that. You'll have to ask why, you'll also have to ask how, you'll have to ask for what, and you'll basically have to question it very holistically, if that makes sense. And you will just somehow know yourself from your gut feeling that, okay, I have arrived to the root. And when you get that feeling, just know that, okay, this is the reason why I thought of this thing. Then you need to do something called integration. And for this, you can just open a new document on Google Docs or Microsoft Word, or just take pen and paper, whatever you prefer. And what you need to do is write down that entire analysis that you have done, the activity, the entire questioning that you have done. Just write it down there and have it written, properly analyzed. All right. After that, what you need to do is write down that you have moved away from it. Write down that was your past, and your present is a lot better than that, and you don't need to be attached, or you don't have that void anymore, because that was the past. It has already happened. It doesn't exist anymore. You need to convince your brain that whatever that activity was, that was a thing of the past. It does not exist in the present, and it does not affect your present, and it does not affect your future as well. You need to write down things that will convince your brain that it has already happened. It does not affect you anymore, and it is not something that you are cared or concerned for right now. All right. You need to write things which convince your brain this. Like, for example, as I told you, you could write things that you have already moved on. It has happened in the past. It doesn't affect you. All these odd things, basically just things that will convince your brain that it has happened in the past, doesn't affect you anymore, and you are completely detached from it, and the event does not exist. Because what essentially happens is that your brain thinks that this event that there is, it is still happening, and it still exists, and it is still affecting you. Because as I said earlier, all these events you might not remember consciously, but they get buried deep inside of you, deep inside your subconscious. So what happens is that your brain thinks that they are still happening, they are still, as they are in your subconscious, like they are still in the present. So you basically need to convince your brain that that is not the case, and which is actually the truth. It is not the case. It's just something that has happened in the past that created a void, and you just need to tell your brain that the void does not exist because the event has already gone and does not affect you anymore. All right, it is that simple. But again, it will take a few attempts. It will take a few tries, and you will face a lot of resistance, because the first step to destruction is awareness. And as you will try to become aware of the problem, the enemy will try to stop you. You will get immense resistance, so be ready for that, and don't get disappointed if it does not happen the first try. Then once you have created the document, you need to read it 2 to 3 times in the very moment, and read it, completely read it, and ingrain it in your brain. And what I'll recommend is keep coming back to the document every once in a while. Of course, the ideal thing to do would be to read it at least once in a day, and until you completely stop doing the thing. Or if you cannot do that, then just keep coming back to it every once in a while until you completely stop doing the activity. And that is basically how you do it. And you can just take the main principles and apply it to any other bad habit that you have in exact same order. And with that being said, I'll see you soon.